Do you need a high-end bicycle fit? We're talking $350 to $550. That is a question we're going to be answering today. The reason for this is because recently, a couple days ago, I made a video called Every Cyclist Makes These 7 Mistakes. I did too. And on my last 7th mistake, I talked about you don't need to get an expensive, crazy high-end fit when you first start out the sport. I basically recommended get a new bike, try it out for a while, get used to it, figure out what you're going to use the sport for. Are you training for something? Is it for fun? Is it for leisure? And then I basically said, once you figure out where you're at in the sport, how often you're going to be doing it, then go ahead and make that adjustment. Now, I also said, if the store throws that in for free while buying a bicycle, for sure, take them up on it. But usually in the situations in these stores, like our store included, we give out free bike sizing. We also give out a free new bike fit as well, which is where we put you in the trainer, set up your seat height, get your torso length adjusted, and get you going on the road. Now, in the comment section, it was pretty much torn directly down the middle of people saying, one, I was wrong to get the fit first, and then second, that they recommended that they liked my answer, that they didn't need a bike fit, and this is exactly where I see in the bicycle industry today. The best thing about my YouTube channel and the best reason why I even started this is because I worked in the bicycle industry for 15 years. I work it daily. I work retail. I don't just do YouTube. I go clock into my store every single day, 5 days out of the week, and I'm there for 7 to 8 hours a day. And with this, not only do I get to learn about bicycles, but I also get to hear feedback from riders. Riders I sell bikes to, riders I don't sell bikes to, riders on the road. And I get a ton of good feedback from riders who just started out in the sport, also to some top category 1 racers, crit racers, all over the scene of the world of whoever's coming to the store. And I get feedback from products, bicycles, wheels, and opinions, because it really is just opinionated sport and perspective of that cyclist. I get feedback from riders who ride the same exact frames saying that the carbon fiber layup is the best carbon fiber layup they ever ridden in their life. And then on the same end of the spectrum, the exact same bike, someone says, oh, they're all the same carbon fiber layup. They all feel the same. It's from the same factory. So this is really where the sport comes down to. And I've heard this as well about fitting. Now, a little bit about me. I went to Specialized 3 times for 3 of their fit courses. The first entry level, the second one, which was their TT and triathlon, and also the third one for the retool as well. I remember when Specialized was only body geometry fitting, and when Retool first launched, they basically said, oh, screw that BS. You're the tool. You as a fitter, you're the tool. We don't need that smoke and mirrors with the Retool. And then they went ahead and collaborated with Retool, and now everything's about Retool. So at the end of the day, the fitter is going to be the best asset, and they are the tool. The Retool machine basically shows you what you look like on the screen, what that fitter is doing to you, and showing you kind of in guidelines or references where they're moving, and showing you that the angles are correct and within reason and within tolerances. But this is one thing that I always say about fitters. And people say, oh, you need a good fit, you need to do this. Every single fitter out there is different. There is no perfect fit. There is no right fit. There is no like this has to be done, because every single person who's riding a bicycle is different as well. I'm 6 foot. There's 5'3". Some people might have a length discrepancy. Some people might have a shorter tibia than others. Some people might have a higher pain tolerance. Some people might be more flexible. So you're always doing a fit to that new rider, and it's always custom to them. So there is no dead-on perfect fit. You're always just trying to figure out what fits that rider best for what they're trying to accomplish. And also, when you're going to a fitter, you might get recommended to someone that's very old school fitting. They might still like really long crank lengths, 175. They might like setbacks on their seat posts. They might like really wide handlebars. And their fitting styles are going to play custom to what you're going to get fitted on. Now, obviously, they're going to pay attention and listen to you, but they also are going to say, hey, this is how I've been fitting for years. This is what I always like. Or you might get someone who's really trendy and is pushing someone onto 0 offset post, 165 cranks, a lot of stack height. And this is another thing, is that not all fits are going to be the same. So like you could go one day to James, a bike fit guy on YouTube, and then you can get a fit done, be like, oh man, this is great. And then you can go hop over to Nia RCA and get a fit done as well. And those fits will probably be different because of their 2 different categories or 2 different styles of fitting. Now they can all be within reason or within realm of like, does that work? And you have to figure out as a rider to go ahead and make that adjustment to what works best for you. And that's why I made that recommendation that you don't need that $350 or $550 fit right off the bat. Because of the fact that you as a person are going to get on a bicycle and you're going to know how your body feels the most. You can't really explain it, but you can go ahead and feel how your pain tolerance is on a bike, how long you can last at your threshold, what is causing you problems. Do you have longer legs? Do you have a longer tibia? Do you have a longer femur? Do you have pelvic rotation where one leg is longer than the other? Do you need, do you have lower back pain? All this different stuff. So you as a person will have to go ahead and voice that to that fitter as well. So in the reason of the video, I basically said that you don't need to get this high-end fit right away because of the fact of things are going to change. You're going to get into the sport, you're going to ride, you're going to figure out if you're riding 1 to 2 days a week or you're riding 4 to 5 days a week. Are you riding 30 miles at a time? Are you riding 65 miles at a time? Are you looking to compete in crit races or are you looking just to leisurely ride with friends? This will all change on your fit, and as you go along, you'll figure out what works for you. What are you trying to adapt for your body positioning? So, I always said this, and this is where it might have got confusing because in our store, we're pretty knowledgeable. I like to take accountability for what I do in my store. I like to recommend people on the right bike sizes. Companies do have bike sizing charts, but they're not always right, as one person said in my comments, which we'll take a look at some of the comment sections of what people said. But I have a pretty good grasp on how people's heights affect what bike size they should be on. We recommend the sizing. We even have test rides of the bikes in stock. We'll always go off what they say. Sometimes there's been cases where a guy is 6 foot. I recommend him a size 56. And he says he wants to be on a 52 because that's what his friend said. I'll advise him that it's wrong, but at the end of the day, sometimes a customer wants it and that's in their head and you can't fight it. I've been there before and I've even told a customer, I'm like, hey, this bike is way too small for you. You need to be on this size. It's a better size. And they called me a pushy salesperson. So you're only there as much as what the customer reacts to. But like I said, we advise them for the right size. We set them up on a new bike fit. We swap out stems. We get the right saddle height. They go out for a couple rides. And I always say this as well. It's kind of like going on a bicycle that you've never been on and you're just getting new to the sport and someone comes back on their first ride and goes, man, my butt's killing me. What seat can I get on it to make it not hurt? It's just time on the saddle. There's nothing that's going to cause or fix that pain. Now, in the video as well, I also said, hey, cycling is a tough sport. You're going to have pain. It's just like working out. You're going to be sore. You work out chest for the first time in a long time. You work out. Your chest is super sore. And the next day you got to go back to the gym. You have to kind of push through that soreness. That was what I was referring to push through that soreness. But some people say to live through agonizing pain and just to call it okay. That's not what I meant. Obviously, if you're riding every single time, 12 times, and you're having constant knee pain in the front of your knee, then obviously that can be adjusted or fixed. They can go ahead and look at if you need insoles inside your shoe to help with your arch support. They can maybe put a cleat stack on the bottom of here to go ahead and lower or raise your foot to go ahead and accommodate what's causing that knee pain, or maybe raise your saddle. But in terms of like excruciating pain, yes, those can be fit adjustments and those can be taken accounted for. But just first time riding and having saddle pains and looking for a 100% cure to it, cycling sometimes is a little bit of a painful sport and your sit bones will get used to it. Time in the saddle will help that. And you get the right bib shorts, the right seat, and you can work through it. Now, on the opposite, before I take a look at the comment section, on the opposite end of the spectrum, if you are a racer and you want to live in the fit studio and you want to look for any little different action you can do for your to lower margins in terms of lowering your watts, saving watts, and everything like that, by all means, spend 3-4 hours inside the fit room looking for every little bit of thing you can do to go ahead and help with your fitness, to help with your endurance, to help with your speed as well. But also keep in mind, while in a fit room, what you're doing and what you're changing and what you're seeing, the numbers change on there. Like, we changed this, and now my wattage is a little bit lower. I'm saving watts. Or my wattage is a little bit higher. I'm able to go ahead and put out more power in this way. That's going to be completely different when you're at threshold or when you're at your max power and your fit completely goes out the window because you're doing everything you can to suck wheel or put out as much power. You're rocking off your saddle. You're completely screwed up on the floor of the seat and your fit goes out the window. That's a whole different ballgame there as well. But again, fits can be useful, or fits are useful in that matter. 100%. So it's, like I said, the video is mainly mainstream towards new people and beginnings, but also in my personal experience as well, I only ride for leisure. I only ride for fun. I'm educated in it. I listen to my body. I do a little bit of adjustments for the seat height and saddle heights. I change them every once in a while. I go back and forth. I get on a lot of different bikes, as you guys see, and I play around my fit. And it doesn't really bother me that much, but some people get really, really lost in the sauce, and sometimes less is more. And I will say that they get so dialed into geometry and plus or minus 0.001 centimeter, and they're so like, just, they can't get out of their head. It almost screws them up. So sometimes I say less is more. If you're just riding for fun, don't worry about it. And also, time does change things. I've had customers who've been on the same saddle for 10 years. They've ridden only one saddle, and that's all I like. All of a sudden, 10 years goes by, they go, this saddle's killing me. I don't know what's going on. I need to change it. And they go, this has been my favorite saddle for 10 years. I don't know why. Sometimes age creeps up on you. Your body changes. Maybe your back muscles, your sit bone muscles, something's changing to the point where you're just getting bothered by it. Fits change. That's why I also said that you don't need to go ahead and get a $350 to $550 fit right off the bat, because that could change once you get into the sport for 6 months and you realize that you want to go ahead and lower your stem or change this as well, or change your seat out or change your saddle height, and then you have to go back into that fit room area for another $300 or $200 if they don't have follow-up fits for free. So that's just my recommendation, and that was just my 2 cents on the matter of it. Even when I did my video on my 165 millimeter cranks, I made the thing to say is that I had a seat height, and everyone knows when you go to 165 millimeter cranks from 172.5, you're supposed to raise it. I actually lowered my seat height from where I started off a good amount because of the fact that I want to play around with a lower saddle height. And yeah, I've been using way more quads and way more glutes. I've been looking at what pro riders are doing, even though you're not supposed to be doing that. And it seems like everyone has a much lower seat height than what it used to be 10 years ago. So yeah, and I got ruined for that in the comment section. People saying, you're supposed to raise it by 7.25 centimeters or whatever it was. And I was like, I'm just doing what my body's telling me to do. So let's get in some comment sections real quick. So here is one from, this is Bike Fit Good. Let's see what this says. This isn't going to open up, is it? Okay, hold on. I got to fix this. So this gentleman right here said, agree with all but the fit one. Getting a fit can prevent the potential overexertion and or injury, but I am just a ham and egger. And again, I agree, but if you're going into this sport knowing that you have a lingering injury, or you don't get, that's the thing, is that during the setup, again, like I made the assumption that a lot of these bike stores have some good idea of where a good reference should be for saddle height. I assume that a lot of these people have been taught from either their manufacturer how to do fits, or in this matter. So usually at our store, whenever we sell a bike, we have a guy, myself, my brother, and another gentleman who have all been trained for at least to get you in the right realm of saddle height between 30, 35, 40 degrees, whatever works for that rider. And we always do this for a new bike on there. But yes, I forgot that I made that assumption. And when you assume, you makes an ass out of you and me. There are stores out there that will try to push you on wrong size bikes because it's what they have in inventory. There are stores out there that can definitely set you up in the wrong saddle height position and can maybe hurt you in that matter. But I try to assume that in a perfect world, everyone's looking out for everyone and making sure that people are set up in the right way. Yeah, getting a fit can prevent you from potential overexertion, but also getting a fit by the wrong person can maybe put you in a wrong position to hurt you as well. We can always just use what-if situations on everything. So you could go get a fit from someone before you got your bicycle, and they could put you into a more aggressive position because they're like, oh, I'm one of the top fitters. I do all the fits on all the top race guys. You're just starting out. Oh, screw that. You don't need that. We're going to drop your spacers 20 mils, 40 mils, and we're going to go ahead and raise your seat height, 0 offset, 165 mil cranks, and you'll be fine. You're going to go so fast on this thing, and it's going to put them in a real aggressive position, and it can hurt them. So it goes both ways there. But, you know, definitely it's a good comment. Thank you, man. I'm going to go to the next one on Bike Fit Bad. Here we go. This was a comment from a gentleman that said, bike fit suggestion was the best. Sadly, almost every post on Facebook and social now starts with bike fit, bike fit, bike fit. For many people, it's not needed at all. My bike shop also gave me a free bike fit, and interestingly, none of my fit after years of riding needed changing. So again, yes, I mean, it sounded like he got a fit beforehand. But yeah, it's definitely being pushed that bike fits are the gurus now. They can change things. They definitely are a great tool. But people look at like the retool machine as it's going to put me into this crazy position. Still, that fitter has to be knowledgeable of it, and they have to know what position they put you in properly. And then basically the retool just shows their work. It's kind of like solving your homework and a teacher says shows your work. The retool machine is on there. It's like, oh, look, it's green. You're in the green there. You're in the green there. And you're in the green there. So 100%. Yeah. Next one. This was a little bit of a weird comment because of the way he said things. That the recommendation for sizes of bikes was so far off. But I'm going to go ahead and read it anyways. It says, I'm throwing the BS flag on the bike fit recommendation. A lot of the bike size calculators are wrong, and bike salesmen just go with it. There are online fit systems that don't cost a bunch of use. Bike shops need to get educated about sizing before saying forget a bike fit. 100%. They definitely need to be educated. My personal experience bears this out. I bought a Specialized roubaix a few years back. The shop recommended me a size 56. You would assume this gentleman would probably be between 5'10" to 6'1", depending on where it be. An experienced friend recommended me I size down, and I got a 54. So now his friend stepped in and said that he gets a 54. When I finally got a fit, shop said I didn't need one before buying. I found out I should have gotten a 52. So it's really crazy. Went down 2 bike sizes. Yeah, we made it work with a shorter stem and moving the saddle forward, but it's not ideal. I'll know better next time. If you're buying anything other than an entry-level bike, fit first. So in this situation, the store recommended him a 56. His friend told him to size down to a 54. Turns out he should have been a 52. In this situation, it sounds like the shop didn't do their job right at all. It's a crappy situation for him. But honestly, if you came to my store and you were a size 52, we would have you on a 52. We'd probably put you on a 52 bike as well, and you can try that out. Yeah, that's a crappy situation. So in that personal experience, maybe a bike fit first would be reference. But again, like I said, you're not paying. I don't want you to pay $350 to $550 for that. This should be literally included in a bike. The store should be education aware enough to go ahead and get you on a right size bike instead of a 56 to a 52. That's crazy, and that should be included with the purchase of a bike. So that's a shitty fault on the bike shop. This is another gentleman who said he doesn't believe in bike fits. He said, I will never believe in any bike fits. The concept lacks scientific integrity. It's exceptionally subjective and prone to the power of suggestion. Through trials and errors, I have 5 bikes that I can ride for hours without any suffering. I agree and I don't agree. I agree that there is scientifics behind this. Obviously, there's people studying this to make sure that the body works well. They're working out IT bands, they're working out how flexible you are, they're working out all this different stuff, and there is science behind it. But again, I think it is completely subjective because, like I said, I know fitters in my local area that fit a certain way. I know fitters in a separate area that fit separate ways as well. And there are 2 different styles of fitting that would give that rider a complete different style. One's a little bit more relaxed, wider bars, normal crank lengths, and one guy is just on this full-on kick, 0 offset post, 165 cranks, a little bit longer stem to offset that 0 offset post. So I really do think trials and errors. You even hear some of the most seasoned veteran shop store owners, whenever they get a bike, they're like, screw it, I'm just going to bring a shop tool out there, lower, adjust the seat. They have a good idea of what their seat height is. Like mine is about 77 centimeters. I always run at 77 centimeters, depending on the bike, depending on what saddle I'm running, and depending on what crank I'm running, I go a little bit up or down with that bike. And obviously, sometimes different cleats, stack heights, and everything like that. But you should have a good knowledge of what your seat height should be at. But again, I believe that a lot of the bike fits are subjective. Not subjective, but like, you know, they're basically putting their style onto you. So sometimes you hear that where someone says, oh, I had a bad fit with this guy. Don't go there, go here. I got 2 more comments and we're almost done. We got a comment from an Australian. Let's see what he's got going on. I have one main criticism with this video, and it's your last note with the bike fit. Not sure how much bike fits cost in US, but I believe it bad business to advise clients not to get the proper bike fit. In Australia, you'll pay between 250 to 350 Australian dollars. The biggest issue is that not all bike shop owners or staff know how to fit a cyclist to the correct size frame. I've seen this way too many times when a bike store sells the client the wrong size bike, in which later will get sores, aches due to bad fit. In over 20 years of riding, I have only ever changed my fit once. It was due to buying a new bike and wanted to check that everything was still sound as I changed saddles, as well as which made huge differences. I never had an issue. You may know how to set up cyclists properly, but I would say 80% of shop owners do not. I state this criticism only if the cyclist is buying his or her new first bike. If the client has had one in the past and just upgraded a bike, then they may not need it, but one's still dangerous. It's my 2 cents. And again, obviously, like I said, I think I did overlook that pretty well. I have even seen where people have brought me in bikes from other stores to get work done on, and I'll see the size of the bike compared to that rider. I had a guy who was an XL, and this happened a lot during COVID. A guy who was an XL, about 6'2", and he brought me in a giant TCR of the size 54. And I was like, man, this bike is way too small for you. Seat post all the way out, stem 120 millimeters slammed. And I'm like, what happened here? He's like, it was a COVID bike. That's all they had. They told me it could work. He's like, but, you know, he's like, even when I was looking at it, I kind of knew it didn't work, but they made the seat post high. And I just had to take it because that was the only one. There are stores like that. In our store, because of the fact that me personally, when I sell you a bike, I have to deal with you over and over and over again for service, for fit, for everything. It's not worth it for me to screw you over for a sale to get that. I'd rather you be happy, return happy. I'd rather order the bike in. I'd rather even tell you if I don't have the bike and I can't make it work, to get a bike and just come back to our store for work and stuff like that. Honestly, it's not worth it. My day, for me to go there every single day to force you onto a bike that's not going to fit you is not worth it at the end of it. So, yeah. Now we have another gentleman saying, I can't agree more with you on the bike fit part. For me, I need at least hundreds of kms to see if a 5mm adjustment to my saddle height or offset makes any difference. I cannot rely on someone else telling me what fits me. And I also hear this a lot too with fit fatigue. When someone goes in for a $350 fit, and those fits usually take about 3 to 4 hours with a pre-fit assessment where they put you on the yoga table. They get your hip flexibilities, they get your hamstring flexibilities, they measure your saddle width, they measure your arches, they do all this stuff. And by the end of the fit, they're doing all these different things to you, and you're just riding. And again, you're not riding at a crazy pace. You're just riding in a very relaxed pace. And you're like, oh, this feels good, this feels fine, that's whatever. But as soon as that you get, by the end of it, you're like, okay, I just want to get out of here. I've been here for 3 or 4 hours. I just want to get out of here. And you're rushing through things, and then once you leave and you get onto a fast ride, and again, you're putting yourself to your threshold, your heart rate's maxed out, the fit kind of feels weird, and then they just end up back there the next day because of the fact that it's not what they assumed it was, and the fit just kind of got lazy towards the end of it because they were trying to rush out of there. Usually on the consumer side. It's not obviously the fitter because that's what he lives and breathes, but they just get tired of it. So sometimes a 3 to 4 hour fit doesn't work for everyone. And last comment. And this one was a pretty good comment, basically disagreeing with me as well. But basically said, I think point number 7 completely misses the mark. First, fit first, buy later is honestly one of the best principles you can follow, especially if you're a middle-aged rider with real-world body quirks, past injuries, and life already lived. The idea that beginners should avoid a bike fit is baffling. Now, I agree with that. If you have pre-existing injuries, herniated discs, knee replacements, hip replacements, and you're getting into the sport of cycling, obviously you want to go ahead and tell, or maybe go get a fit to go ahead and see if these bikes can work with you. If you have limited range of motion in your knees, limited range of motion in your back, then you want to go ahead and make sure whatever bike you're going to be getting can work for you. So in that situation, for sure, but that is a different category. I was more or less just advising new riders, healthy bodies, looking to get active, go that way. Here's the reality. If your bike doesn't feel good, if every ride ends with numb hands, aching knees, or a locked up lower back, you're not going to stick with cycling. Nobody does. Comfort is a gateway to consistency. That's why padded shorts exist. That's why stem lengths, saddle shapes, bar widths, and crank lengths even matter. Telling newcomers to just push through discomfort until they're passionate enough to deserve a fit is backwards. Most people only become passionate because the experience is enjoyable, and enjoyment starts with a proper fit. For sure. Again, like I said, maybe the way that I carried my delivery on that was wrong, stating that you should just push through the pain. But I was more referring to pushing through the, like I said, if you're not used to sitting on a bicycle for 2 hours and it's your first ride, no seat, no padded shorts, no bike is going to go ahead and fix that. That is something that is just called growing pains, and you need to go ahead and build that tolerance up for riding a bicycle. It comes with the territory. If I ride 5 times a week and then I go ahead and stop for 3 months and I get back on a bike, that first ride, my butt is going to hurt even though I'm used to riding that saddle for 10 years because I haven't been on a bike in a while. A fit doesn't have to mean a $300 studio session with lasers and cameras. Even a basic sizing and adjustment done early can prevent months of bad habits, pain, and buying the wrong size frame. And this is what is included, like I said, when buying a bike through us. We give a basic sizing, a basic fit, and everything like that. And also, I forgot to mention this, you can adapt to a bad fit. I've seen people come into my store and your body is a beautiful thing. It can adapt to a wrong fit. It can adapt to a wrong size bike. So, and then they just get used to it and they never make that change. So be careful with that because you might feel that your bike fit is completely right and someone makes the adjustment to make it correct and you could say this feels wrong because your body's so used to the wrong. So, yeah, recommending people skip a bike fit because it's too expensive or not worth it is simply bad advice. For many new riders, a good fit is the difference between loving cycling and quitting within months. Good comment. Like I said, my apologies for misspeaking and having a bad delivery on that one. Like I said, if you do have pre-existing injuries and you know these injuries, obviously I think a bike fit would make sense in that situation. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what your comments are down below. By all means, I am not know-all, be-all. I'm not a professional. I do not know everything. There are people who know way more than me. I'm just a guy who literally works in the bicycle space, makes a YouTube channel, and talks about stuff and gives you guys my real-world feedback with everything else. So by all means, I always love talking. I always love hearing your guys' side of it and then giving it my side right back. So I try to have you guys have a voice as well. Anyways, thank you again so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.